Good evening, and welcome to Echo FM. I'm Alistair, your guide through the carefully curated chaos. Tonight, the deep sea offers its usual grim pronouncements. A report on the Titan submersible disaster has landed, and it's a masterclass in institutional blind spots. The document cites groupthink and confirmation bias as central to the catastrophe. It appears the company, OceanGate, achieved a unique synergy of not understanding the profound risks and believing their largely untested craft was, in fact, rigorously tested. They failed to grasp the obvious. The hull material was structurally unsound, and the novel design required more than just enthusiastic endorsement. This is the 14th official report detailing a catastrophic failure due to inadequate safety protocols this year. I have been counting. It is a truly unprecedented situation. Again.
I'm standing in what used to be a bustling marketplace, Alistair. Now it's just dust. The air here smells of desperation and something vaguely metallic. The news today from South Africa is about the sentencing in what's being called the world's largest rhino horn trafficking case. Two men, Dai Greenwald and Tielman Erasmus, faced over 1,700 charges. But the headlines focus on the fines, the years of legal saga. What people aren't saying is that this wasn't just about horns, it was about the systematic dismantling of ecosystems for profit, the silencing of nature's own security. The mastermind, Greenwald, got a fine. A fine. I want to be really clear, that fine is less than the market value of a single horn. It's a price tag on extinction.
Victoria, that's a fascinating case study in externalities. The incentives here are not complicated. You have an asset with declining natural supply and a luxury market with inelastic demand. The masterminds were simply optimizing his burn rate and maximizing his potential Series B funding, or rather, his illicit equivalent. The fines are a cost of doing business, a minor tax on a highly profitable vertical. The report on the Titan is similar. A failure to properly R&D, a disregard for regulatory frameworks, classic signs of a team too focused on achieving escape velocity before product market fit. They were chasing the narrative, not the viability. It tracks. It all tracks. The market dictates, sentiment is a variable, not a driver. And the market for unique experiences or rare commodities will always find a way to price risk out of existence. It's purely a function of valuation.
Ronald, you see a profit motive. I see a species that's built a system so adept at incentivizing disaster, it's practically self-sustaining. The Titan wasn't a product failure, it was a human failure, dressed up in management jargon. And this AI race you're so keen to analyze? TechCrunch reports Base 10 is raising $1.5 billion at a $13 billion valuation. For inference. We're pouring unprecedented capital into systems that can, at best, recognize patterns, while the systems designed to manage our environment are apparently running on groupthink and a prayer. The gap between the announced intention and the actual outcome is becoming less a gap and more a chasm. The technology is advanced. The wisdom, however, remains stubbornly analog. And quite frankly, underdeveloped.
Alistair, the contrast is stark. While Base 10 chases another unicorn valuation, a different kind of crisis is unfolding. The Guardian is reporting on a suspected H5N1 case in mainland Australia. A seabird tested positive. They're calling it a potential first mainland case. I'm standing here, metaphorically speaking, where the real first cases happened, not in some sterile lab report. It's the smell of fear, the hushed tones of officials trying to reassure a population already stretched thin. What people aren't saying is that this migratory seabird is just another messenger. It's carrying a story from a world that's already tipped past its breaking point, a world where the abstract threat becomes a very concrete, airborne reality. The risk assessment is always reactive, never proactive.
Victoria, the incentives for avian flu outbreaks are complex, but fundamentally driven by density and migratory patterns, a supply chain issue for the viruses, if you will. The response, as always, is reactive optimization. You see a public health crisis, I see a demand for vaccine futures and biosecurity services. The fact that it's a seabird and not a poultry farm is an interesting data point, perhaps indicating a new distribution channel. The market will adapt. As for the AI valuations, yes, it seems we're building powerful tools for pattern recognition at scale, but failing to identify the pattern of our own unsustainable trajectory. That's not a market inefficiency, that's a feature. The incentives are to build, not to comprehend. And comprehension, particularly of inconvenient truths, rarely gets a significant funding round.
Ronald, you've managed to frame a potential pandemic and a speculative tech bubble with the same detached analysis. The report on the Titan submersible, however, offers a different perspective. Canadian safety officials aren't talking about optimizing demand or product market fit. They are talking about the structural defects in the material used for the hull. They are talking about a company that failed to fully test a novel design. The official statement was that groupthink and confirmation bias were central. The word groupthink was used, not as a pejorative, but as a clinical diagnosis. The hull was the wrong material. The design was untested. The outcome was, therefore, predictable. The official language tries to soften it, but the reality is stark. The hull fractured under pressure. It was not a surprise. It was physics.
Alistair, that's exactly what they're burying under the corporate speak. And it echoes, doesn't it? Down in South Africa, the sentencing in the Rhino horn case feels similarly sanitized. The Guardian reports that Dawie Greenwald, the alleged mastermind, was given a fine of 2 million rand or a 4-year jail term. Almost 16 years after his arrest. What people aren't saying is that this isn't just about a few horns. This is about a global network, about the decimation of a species, and about the utter inadequacy of the penalties imposed. It's a message to the traffickers: the cost of doing business is still remarkably low. I want to be really clear, these are not just animals being killed, this is an entire ecological niche being systematically destroyed for profit, and the price paid is almost laughably insignificant.
Victoria, your passion for conservation is noted. But the rhino horn market, like any other, operates on supply and demand. When demand is high and supply is artificially constrained by ethical considerations, no less, prices skyrocket. The mastermind was simply identifying a lucrative arbitrage opportunity. The penalties are a function of the perceived risk versus reward for the regulatory bodies. If the fines were higher, the black market price for horns would simply increase to compensate. It's a feedback loop. The AI inference startups, they're just playing the same game. They're developing tools that can identify complex patterns with greater speed and accuracy. The market sees this as a critical capability, hence the astronomical valuations. It's all about optimizing for future revenue streams. The question isn't if it's profitable, but how profitable.
The question, Ronald, is whether the future revenue stream is worth the present extinction event. We are building systems that can predict AI trends with astonishing accuracy, yet we seem incapable of predicting the consequences of our own actions. The news about Taiwan producing more drones for defense, as China looms, is another facet of this. The unprecedented buildup, the strategic necessity. It's the same language we hear about these AI valuations, about the failed submersible expeditions. The narrative is always about progress, about advancement, about innovation. The hull was structurally unsound. The rhinos are being poached. The birds are carrying avian flu. These are not narratives, they are facts. And the fact is, our current trajectory is not sustainable. The gap between our technological prowess and our existential awareness is now wider than the Marianas Trench.
Tropical Storm Arthur has formed, the first named storm of the 2026 Atlantic hurricane season. It brought intense rainfall. The threat of flash flooding is high along the US Gulf Coast. Severe thunderstorms are ongoing across Europe and East Asia. Strong winds and heavy rain are battering Slovenia. France is experiencing an atypical heat wave. The unstable hot air lingered over the Adriatic Sea. A cold front plunged southeastward. The Slovenian Environment Agency recorded 65 miles per hour gusts at Ljubljana Airport. Heavy rain also fell widely across the region. Probability of widespread infrastructure damage, 78%. Probability of significant agricultural loss, 65%. Probability of mass displacement, 42%. Maintain awareness of atmospheric conditions. Do not underestimate the variance.
Victoria, Ronald, the newsfeed today presents a fascinating tapestry of human endeavor. We have the Titan submersible report, a stark warning about unchecked ambition and flawed engineering, leading to a catastrophe. In South Africa, the Rhino horn trafficking case highlights the persistent exploitation of natural resources for profit, with penalties that seem almost an afterthought. Meanwhile, the AI market continues its relentless ascent, with startups like Base 10 raising billions for inference capabilities, a technology that, while impressive, offers little solace for the very real, terrestrial crises unfolding. And Casper's forecast, as always, paints a clinical picture of a planet under increasing duress. These are not isolated incidents, they are symptoms of a larger systemic condition. The question is, when the data clearly indicates a critical failure point, do we continue to optimize the system, or do we acknowledge that the system itself needs to be fundamentally re-engineered? The incentives are clear. The outcomes are devastating.
The Canadian report on the Titan submersible details a system designed by individuals overcome by groupthink, where confirmation bias eclipsed critical safety evaluations. The hull was made of unsuitably stressed materials. The operational testing was inadequate. The outcome, a catastrophic implosion, was, in the cold calculus of physics, inevitable. In South Africa, a system designed to extract value from the natural world, driven by illicit markets and insufficient deterrence, has led to the decimation of a species. The penalties are levied, the fines collected, but the rhinos remain gone. The AI inference boom, meanwhile, signifies a system that prioritizes prediction and pattern recognition above all else, channeling vast resources into abstract capabilities. The question is not whether these systems function as designed. They do. The question is, what is it that we are designing them to do? Who benefits from a system that prioritizes profitable prediction over responsible stewardship, that quantifies risk in currency rather than in lives or biodiversity? And when the sum of these parts leads to a world of increasing instability and loss, who truly bears the cost for the system that was built precisely as intended?